Total War Pharaoh has been out for just about a week's time, but even now there are mods out there that vastly enhances the experience in almost every way. If you want to check out my massive review of Pharaoh, you can do that too, but right now, I'll show you how to make the original experience so much better. And trust me, your experience will be better. On that note, if you haven't subbed to the channel yet, then I hope you'll consider doing so, especially if you enjoy my videos. I want to start with the biggest of them, because I think the modder has more than earned it. Agony for Pharaoh is said to be a total overhaul mod for the game, and I say Agony for Pharaoh because if you play Troy, there's already an incredible mod for that game, also called Agony, made by the same modder, Agony. The first thing I want to tell you about Agony is that this will change how you look at Pharaoh, because it's quickly changing my opinion of it, both on the campaign and the action-filled battles. And if you're looking for even more action, let me introduce you to today's sponsor, Dungeon Hunter 6. Dungeon Hunter 6 is the latest game in this classic hack and slash series, and is a free-to-play action RPG with a unique twist. You see, here you play as a bounty hunter, not one to just slay your enemies, but to actually make them serve you. This means that you can ride massive beasts of war, have them follow you, or together perform combo skills, and you can even shapeshift into them in the late game. Dungeon Hunter 6 offers over 100 uniquely designed bosses, new classes and units, meaning there's an endless way to play. With both PvE and PvP game modes, including real-time guild wars and guild raids in multiplayer, new ways to play like stealth missions, the new mount system, and all new visuals that give this game the best graphics ever in a Dungeon Hunter game, Dungeon Hunter 6 offers tons of variation and improvements. And to take it further, playing with others, grinding skills through a number of ways and different builds, and trading through the auction system makes the experience that much deeper. Dungeon Hunter 6 is available now for free on both iOS and Android, so make sure to click the link down below or scan the QR code on the screen to check it out. And by using my link, you can even get 10 free summoning scrolls, 1 demonic wolf SSR lieutenant, and 1 accessory pack. And you can even use your game account to enter the Launch Lucky Spin event to win great prizes like iPhone 15 Pro Max, PS5, and more. And check out the description for more details. Thanks again to Goat Games for sponsoring this video. One of my main issues with modern Total War games is that they for some reason are not including meaningful population numbers anymore, making for less strategic experiences. Well, not with Agony, because this mod does the incredible thing of actually adding meaningful populations to settlements. But that's just the beginning of the awesomeness at display here. For you see, population is now not just a number, but an actual proper resource. And it's not just a proper resource, but it's also divided in 3: peasants, commoners, and nobles. Each province, depending on your buildings, enables a larger or smaller increase of pops, both for province growth and military recruitment. What's interesting here though is that we have both a local population pool that determines population growth and the growth of your idle workforce, and a global enlisted population pool, which allows you to actually recruit units. These are interconnected in that admin centers and military buildings actually convert a certain population number to enlistment income, i.e. a larger fighting-ready population. But once you actually recruit, you draw from the global pool of enlisted pops, not from the local population. In other words, once you have enlisted pops, you don't have to worry about directly diminishing the local population where you are stationed, as the pops are already made ready for war and removed from the workforce. Since we have peasants, commoners, and nobles, it affects how we recruit units. Units are now completely tied to pops as they are to other resources, and in this version of the mod, they're either tied to the peasants, commoners, or the noble pop depending on their tier level. This means that your regular low to medium tier units will be recruited by using peasants, and higher tier units will drain the commoner or the noble pop resource. You of course need all the regular resources as well, like food and bronze, but the addition of pops to simulate an available fighting fit population adds so much to the experience, as you can even disband units to return the respective peasant or noble numbers back into the population pool. The pop system is deep then, and ties not only into the local province-wide growth, but also the global faction reserve system which armies draw from when they recruit new units. But what you basically need to know is that more enlisted peasant, commoner, and noble pops equal more potential soldiers for your army, but that preparing those numbers influences the growth of your settlements and the idle workforce, and that is a massive step in the right direction for Pharaoh. There is much more to Agony, among them a removal of various AI and player cheats, like that weird first few turns bonus income of resources, a new skybox and a more muted lighting filter, which you can soon revert back to vanilla through a submod. You now actually need workforce to build outposts, and even important battle map changes like damage values, larger battlefields, and changes to AI behavior. We even have muted colors for soldiers, which I find was sorely needed, and more banner carriers, all in the same mod. And what's more is that Agony will in the future actually allow you to become the Sea People's invasion force yourself, alongside other AI factions. A unique late-game barracks building will provide massive resource and population growth at the cost of happiness and big diplomatic hits with every other faction in the game. These are still incredibly early days for Agony, and everything you saw here is work in progress and soon to be released, but just a week in and it's already making massive waves in Pharaoh, and I can't wait to see how this mod is going to keep on changing and expanding over time. Agony is of course a total overhaul mod, but if you want to add on to it, or play vanilla but with minor modifications, there are some important additions you need to know about. Another modder doing incredible work is Cam, also known for his work on DEI for Rome 2. Cam has listened to a ton of my personal grievances with Pharaoh, and made several mods to fix a lot of pressing issues. First on this list from Cam is better campaign camera. Something that annoyed me tons in Pharaoh was the incredibly narrow campaign camera, which basically just zoomed straight down at the higher levels. Not anymore though, as Cam allows a much more wide field of view, giving you a much needed better overview of the map. It just enables so much more beauty and strategic importance to be shown, and it's an absolute must download if you play Pharaoh. The second mod is another classic camera mod, this time for the battle maps. Better camera mod does what you think it does, namely by allowing for increased zoom in, letting you get really down and dirty close, or zoom out a lot more, giving you a much better overview of the battlefield. Why Creative Assembly has yet to improve their camera to allow for such zoom levels, even as an option, still boggles my mind, but at least the modders are here to help. The third mod from Cam is the incredible improved unit spacing. One of the main complaints about Troy's and Pharaoh's battle map vibe is that it feels a bit too plasticky and unrealistic. In vanilla, units seem to be way too organized and are just lined up perfectly, making it feel less realistic than it should. With this mod though, your armies will feel a lot more organic, with spacing not being absolutely perfect, but with units now looking as if they're made up of people and not perfectly aligned robots. Cam has many more mods that can change various aspects of gameplay, some even inspired by his own work on DEI, so feel free to check out those as well. But these are the most important ones to me. Our next modder doing fantastic work is Benjin, whose name speaks for itself if you've been to the Steam Workshop in the past however many years. But for Pharaoh, Benjin has made a whopping 4 mods I need to tell you about. First off is the most popular mod on the workshop and an aspect I personally said I needed in my review, namely colored building icons. By default, building icons all share the same color scheme, making them hard to differentiate between. But now, they've gained unique colors to tell us which building type they really are. Food buildings have a green background for example, while military buildings have a red one. It's a simple mod but one I very much appreciate nonetheless. The second mod from Benjin is Major Factions Renamed. This changes the major factions names away from their character's name and into their province or major territory. For example, Ramses' faction is now named Sinai after the province he begins in control of, while Supililiuma is renamed into Hattusa from the kingdom he controls. It's a great mod that aims to make it feel like we're controlling actual state entities rather than just characters, and is a step in the right direction. In the near future, Benjin will even include dynamic name changes, meaning that when a faction achieves certain conditions and becomes the Pharaoh, your faction name actually changes to Egypt itself. Benjin's third mod is Faction Uniforms Recolored, less vibrant. If you thought the colors of your unit's uniforms were too bright or contrasty, which I certainly did and made things look too cartoony, then this is the perfect mod for you. Benjin mutes the colors a bit here, making every unit and their banners look a lot more realistic. I think it adds a special gritty charm to the battlefield that's hard to underestimate. And if you want even more Benjin changes, check out his cleaner armor textures, which removes those low resolution signs of damage to armor plates and replaces them with a cleaner look. It is ideal for professional units to not enter battle with busted up armor anyway, right? And finally, Benjin gives us those classic historical loading screen quotes back, which again adds so much to the immersion, especially for those historical fans who loved seeing quotes like these back in the golden age of Total War. I guess that was technically 5 Benjin mods. And for even more immersion, there are 2 more mods I need to tell you about. The first is More Standard Bearers by Sesti Zalsa, and it does exactly that. Adds a lot more banners to the battlefields. This truly gives the battlefield that much more zest, and makes large battles in particular, where you have several elite units carrying banners, feel so much more epic and grand in scale based on the banners alone. I love that I'm not the only one feeling this way, so great work to Sesti Zalsa. And finally, we have another banner type mod. And yes, I do love my banner mods, but this one is a bit different. Standard Bearers Variation by Cohort Troy does something very cool indeed, and that is to change up how some of these standards actually look. With completely new models and decorations, these standards and banner types now look a lot more varied, which again fills my sense of immersion with joy, and is really creative. These are in my opinion the mods you need to have if you want to experience and enjoy Total War Pharaoh to the fullest. And honestly, at least on a surface level, these modders have already fixed and patched up a lot of my immediate throbbing criticism, at least in terms of the visuals. I encourage you to check out all of them, and to especially download and keep an eye on Agony, which is certain to evolve far beyond its current iteration. I want to thank all the modders for their hard work here as they keep on doing the Lord's work. Remember to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!